Three, two, one. Hi, welcome to Young but Somewhat Overqualified Podcast. In today's episode, I have my friend here. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Charles. I've been friends with Josie for 5 years now.
4 years?
4 to 5 years now.
I don't know, it's been a while.
It's been a really long time.
It's been a rough 4 years. Um, okay, so today we're gonna be talking about relationships, particularly the pretty side of relationships and friends with benefits. So, Charles, how would you define a relationship?
A relationship to me is two individuals that has to work together. It cannot be like a one-way road. It has to be two ways. Being able to talk through situations that most people won't pretty much disagree, and also bringing the best out of them as the main goal of being in a relationship.
I guess mine's kind of similar. I would define a relationship as like a mutual liking between two people that are willing to grow, support, and understand each other and love and take care of each other too. So, when you're in a relationship, what do you expect out of it?
I think what I expect out of it is the compatibility with the significant others, and I think that it is really important in our age, perhaps because I've been in a lot of relationships before in the past, but I didn't really fully understand what it really means to be in a relationship with someone until you get dumped or you just kind of move on to the next one and kind of process what um, what you really did wrong, or how could you make yourself do better for the next one.
That's like really different from what I was gonna say. When I jump into relationships, I kind of expect to make a best friend and a lover, like someone I want to like commit my time to, and someone to grow and learn from. Learning from another person is like very important to me, so I would expect my significant other to be teaching new things to me on a regular basis. Also, like when you're in a relationship, it's not just a generic friendship anymore. There's a lot of passion, a lot of empathy, and a lot of affection, and I think like those are like the very key things I need when I'm in a relationship. So yeah, what do you think about that?
I I think that there's a lot of things that plays along in having a relationship with someone, and I think that we can all agree that um, number one key to having a relationship is basically the communication to one or the other. Then everything else could settle down after that, just based on uh, what is your perspective on how you want to run a relationship. But I think that for everyone who is or isn't in a relationship, that communication is very much key to um, any kind.
Of a relationship?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like nowadays communication is such a like vague term. Okay, so what I was trying to say was communication is important. Yes. But like it's such a vague term because, texting is technically communication, like calling on the phone is communication, sending a meme is communication. Like what type of communication are you trying to say is important? Or like what is the best way to communicate with your significant other, since communication is always like the biggest issue that goes wrong in most relationships.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, it kind of really depends. Like, once you start being in a relationship, it's how you establish the relationship that what matters, if your communication is strong or not. If you don't really establish that in the very beginning, then yes, in the long term, there's going to be problems ahead of you guys. But I think that the most important thing besides communication is really establishing what you want to expect in the relationship. What do you not like about what kind of like things that you don't like, what things that she doesn't like, so that you guys have a mutual understanding. But also, it's you guys have to share with each other like what makes you guys interested in each other. Is it like the music or the food, or is it the personalities or the looks, etc., etc.? I think it's just mainly it's just the establishment of the relationship is probably um, kind of like toe to toe with communication in a relationship as key factors.
Interesting. I don't know. I feel like there are a lot of factors in a relationship. And like there are some things that like make you stay in a relationship with someone, right? So like what are those moments where you're like, oof, should I break up with this person or should I stay? Because there are like, memories and like there are very important things with a specific person where you're like, should I let her go or should I stay? Like, have you ever experienced that where you're like, oh, here are some moments where I want to stay with this person?
There was a lot of moments where I felt like there I want to stay in a relationship but at the same time, like, you really have to really take care of yourself at first. I think that one of the main responsibilities in being in a relationship is really be responsible for your own happiness. It it cannot be the significant other be responsible for it, because you're she's just doing all the work for you. You have to work yourself around so that you can make yourself happy before making her happy as well. But I also think, um, when it comes to having an unsettling emotion of saying like, "Oh, you're just all of a sudden unhappy," um, then the first thing I would do is pretty much really just talk talk to her about my emotions. But and I think mainly it's all about readjustment. And if you don't change the way you're doing the first time, then you're just hurting like your relationship more if you don't change.
I see. I know, like, we've both been in relationships where we're like, we didn't break up with the person when we needed to. So, like, my question was, like, why did you end up staying with the person? Like, or staying in a relationship? It didn't have to be with, like, that specific person, but, like, there's something about a relationship that makes you want to stay.
I think it's just like how much good memories that you had with that person in the long term. And maybe there are second thoughts of me saying like, oh, maybe we can work things out because of how much potential there is. But at the same time, there's moments where I'm just like, maybe I just need to just kind of just stay single and work myself first before her.
For me, I wrote, because, yeah, I write my shit down before I do podcasts. I don't know, like, when I'm in a relationship, I feel like I could completely let my guard down and be myself with this person. And, like, there are moments where I could be stupid and, like, happy because I'm, like, I don't know, I feel like people hold me to a high standard of, like, intelligence that, like, I can't be dumb. And, like, the only person who doesn't hold me to this high standard of, like, knowledge slash intelligence would be my significant other. And I think, like, being with someone and being yourself while having all this passion and love is like such a beautiful thing that like I end up staying in relationships longer than I should, you know?
I mean, I do agree, and I think that love is a very confusing topic in some cases. And a lot of times when we're in relationships, we're just very blindsided because we want to be happy with this other person that we want to date with. And sometimes there's gonna be points where we lose touch in ourselves, and all we can really do is the only comfort that we can really have is being with our significant other.
Yeah, for sure. Like being with someone is so comforting that it's kind of scary, you know. And for me, like I don't like being comfortable. And you've noticed that. You've called me out on it. But like I don't like being comfortable because it's like, it's been safe for too long. Like what if something bad happens? And I think that's that's probably why I don't stay comfortable ever. But that's just me. Um so another question, right, is do you think a handful of people jump into relationships just to fill a void, or like to not feel lonely? Like they just randomly jump into a relationship.
Personally, I think it's both. I mean, you do have people that just doesn't want to feel lonely, and they just don't quite understand like the value of friendship first before relationships.
Yeah.
And then also you have the other side of just jumping on into a relationship because they think like, oh, I broke up with this person a few months ago, and I feel like I'm ready to go back in and be completely move on. But in hindsight, they're probably wrong.
Yeah, they're like filling the emptiness that they had because they just got out of a relationship prior to their new relationship. I don't know. I feel like so many people jump into relationships, particularly around the beginning of the school year. So, like September, October, right before it gets cold. It's true. If there's like a statistics on this, like
Yes.
people, there are less breakups going on in the winter time because it's like it's cold and people like cuddling, and like there's other stuff in a relationship that like intimacy, the whole like Christmas and Valentine's Day with like someone else, and then people like break up right before the summer, and then like shit like hot girl summer becomes a thing. You know what I mean?
I mean, is this what we so call the cuffing season?
Yes, that's literally what I wrote. It's like people want to get cuffed because it's like cuddling season and it's cold, and like you don't want to be that like dumb random solo person. You want someone around your arms or in your arms. Like,
I mean, personally for me, I don't believe in cuffing season in general. I think that every time when you meet a significant other, it is more on a natural time. So there's no real telling of, oh, I will definitely be cupping
okay,
with this one
quick
person.
question. When were your when did you end up in relationships? Like name all your relationships and the month they started.
So when
You don't have to
I
say names, just say like relationship 1 started this.
rela- relationship one started in March,
Okay.
and then the end of relationship was in July.
Okay, yeah, in summertime, you know.
Right.
Okay,
And
next
then
relationship.
you have one that's in March and then the other in October.
Why? What's the significance of March? Like post Valentine's Day
It
blues?
honestly, it I don't really pay attention to time really. I don't pay attention to what dates I'm picking out to meet girls and stuff.
For me, my relationships both start in October. That's cuffing season. Think about it. It's cuffing season. It's October. Like you want to get cuffed before the winter time, and then, but like both my relationships ended somewhere in the summer. So like
It's kind of just it kind of just really depends really.
I think cuffing season is a thing, but who am I to say anything?
I mean, it is probably to you, but probably to other people it probably doesn't
It's a
matter.
thing for college kids.
For,
Trust,
for
Charles.
college.
Trust, Charles. It's a thing. So, next question. What did you learn about relationships? I know you said some of these things, but like, what was the biggest lesson from relationships as a whole?
I think personally, it's just having to be optimistic or open minded, because um, when we were younger, and we hop onto relationships at a very young age, we don't really we don't really understand it as much. We don't understand how to talk things out with our significant others, or just give them a chance to hear them out and give them an understanding so that you can actually work the problem out a much easier way instead of having to be so stubborn and hard-headed and
Like
start
butt heads.
and then just start barking back and forth to each other and such.
Wow, me in every relationship. I don't know, for me, like, the thing about relationships is, like, sometimes my biggest lesson was, like, sometimes people just naturally grow apart. Like, that's the thing. People grow apart. It's healthy. It's okay. But you kind of have to accept that. Like, you can't be mad that you guys naturally grew apart. And you have to, like, kind of accept, like, things happen for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, there's also, I mean, you're not wrong as well. And and I'm pretty sure I can go on what other lessons that I've learned from previous relationships, but I think that just the most important one for me was to kind of just be optimistic and try to just understand the significant other, or else if you're just really stubborn and all that, you're not gonna get into a relationship for that long as well. And you need someone to understand you and someone to listen to you.
True. True. I don't know. And then, like, the second biggest lesson is that for me, I need to stop investing all my efforts into the other person. And I need to reserve, like, a good chunk of that into myself. And I, like, easily let myself go while I'm in relationships. And so, like, a really big lesson was, like, you have to love yourself before you love someone else.
Yeah, I think that's another lesson that I've recently learned.
Same.
And I think that for me was because of me being an emotional support for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It took a toll on me mentally, because I'm also juggling around with being a full-time student and also being full-time work, and just not having myself time to kind of work my mental health and try just to have some time alone, because I have to on another priority is to be in a relationship. So you're juggling all these priorities, and you just don't have time for yourself. It really takes a mental toll on you. And I think that I have to start understanding myself and really just, you know, just kind of, it is okay to be alone sometimes, and it's beneficial.
Oh wow, you like ended that on like a decent note, a good note. It's gonna transition very well right now. So like the next thing, you know how like being lonely and it's okay to be alone. There's like a thing, and it's called friends with benefits. I call them FWIBs because my ass is too lazy to pronounce friends with benefits. So just saying for the listener, if I ever say FWIBs, that means friends with benefits. So, like, people don't want to be in a relationship because they're trying to work on themselves. But people are, like, have crazy libidos. And I can't say some stuff. People have crazy libidos and they need to fill that need somehow. So, for you, what do you think a friends with benefits means? Like, what does it mean to have a FWIB, or what is a FWIB?
Well, well, it's very obvious. It's friends with benefits. It starts out with friends, so it's someone you can be a friend with. But
Like the Wong Fu friends with benefits video? No.
I haven't seen it yet, so don't spoil it for me now.
Okay, we're gonna watch that after this. Okay.
But I think friends with benefits is someone that you can be friends with, but you get the perks of being in a relationship without having
Commitment.
the commitment slash
Investment.
emotional support.
It's like, no, you could emotionally support your friends with benefits.
Depends.
No, I
Because
feel like you're just missing the commitment aspect of a relationship and the like financial emotional investment part. Like you don't have to waste your time loving this person. They're just going to give you sex.
be, because there's a lot of ways people can perceive friends with benefits. And some might need someone. Some might say, "Oh, we're just going to have sex all the time," and you have others like, "Oh, we're just gonna be friends, but I can give you emotional support." Or, it's just mainly it's just without the commitment.
No, like but if you're a friend giving emotional support, aren't you just still a normal friend? Like right?
Right, right,
Right?
right.
Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, your friends are supposed to be emotionally supportive, but, like, what's the benefit aspect then there? Like,
I think we can both say that we it's just without any sort or any sort slash kind of
it's just
commitment.
like a relationship minus the anniversary.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Think about it. You kind of go on dates with your friends with benefits sometimes because like you need to establish a hangout, and it's usually dinner or like something before. And if you're really bored, you could be like, "Hey, friends with benefits, do you want to run an errand with me?" Like it's basically a relationship.
The thing is that I never been in a friends with
So
benefits before, so that's why I don't have a good grasp
on like the
on
idea of it.
the idea of it because I'm just it's either me being single or me being in a relationship.
My jaw is dropping. Like
And it's literally like I was never being the in between of being friends with benefits because I consider friends with benefits as in between of being single and being in a relationship. It's just in between.
it's like there's yours is the two extreme. You're gonna be single or you're gonna be fully committed in a relationship.
Exactly.
There's nothing like in the middle.
No.
That's wild. Okay, I guess like next question. Do you think friends with benefits are just used to like fill a void of like lack of intimacy because you're single? Like people use friends with benefits.
Yes, for the most from the idea that we're talking about friends with benefits, I think that in this case, yes, it is probably for the lack of intimacy
Mm-hmm.
and maybe a lot of guys or girls don't need it because they can just watch porn online.
I don't like porn.
Well, you don't like, but there's other people who watch
That's
porn.
true.
Like,
It's so ingenuine for me to watch porn because it's like, yeah, I'm watching two people do it and get it on, but like, it's boring. Maybe I just desensitized myself from that like way too young, and now I'm still young, and I'm just like, ew.
I mean, you'll be turning
23.
very soon.
Yeah, I'm still young, and I'm just like, ew, porn. Like, what did I do to myself? I think I never liked it in the beginning.
It's just because it's just you're just watching on a screen.
Yeah, like there's no like physical touch there, and that's what like, gets me going.
And there's some single individuals out there that just watch porn and they don't need to rely on having
A fwibs.
like an actual flips or having an actual intimacy outside at like a bar or
Are
something.
you calling me out?
No, there's no such thing as calling out. It's just I'm just diversifying individuals out here as well.
So do you think like friends with benefits work? Like no feels caught. Like none at all. Like do you think like that's a thing?
It depends on the individual, but for me, I don't think it will not be worth
I
it.
can't believe you never had friends with benefits.
What do you mean?
I've had like 5 or like oof.
Oof.
Big exposure. So like from personal experience, friends with benefits can work, but like if it works, like no feels caught, it's like mediocre sex. And it's not like wow, amazing. But like my dumbass associates like good sex with feelings, and it's like it gets messy. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are like, yeah, I've had a friends with benefits, but I caught feels. And like, yeah, it was great catching feels, but it's like, and the sex was good, but like, why? Like, low key on the inside, you're like, maybe this is gonna turn into something more, but it doesn't. And you're just like, big oof. Like, ooh.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm really afraid of.
Is catching feels?
Is really catching feels under the friends with benefits. Even though I haven't been in one, but I have a good understanding of myself. It's like if I really want to have sex, I'd rather have sex with like someone that I could like put my emotions
100% into.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so like I think the issue was for me is that like I still talk to some of them. Like we're friends, minus the benefits part. But like I don't talk to them as often. I mean, I talk to one kind of frequently, but I don't know if I would call him like a friends with benefits. Like what would you define like
Well,
how regularly would you need to like
would you call it a thing? I know it's a high school term that we use back
but
in
it's
the
not
day.
a thing because there's no feelings. It's like you're just having sex.
Having sex and then you're talking to someone.
I mean, okay, I feel like the ones that like I didn't catch feels were like more distant. And they put more like rules and boundaries on like the sex aspect.
Well, I don't know what's the true definition of it's complicated.
Uh-huh.
But would you consider that?
I feel like it's complicated means like you were in a relationship with someone and then you're not in a relationship but you're kind of trying to make things work out and it's like complicated. It's not worth discussing.
So would you put that? Would you consider that in your kind of like perspective with one of your
the ones that
weaves?
I caught feels for? Kind of, because there was like this one, right? Oh god, ew, I hit my elbow. Stop, don't make fun of me. So like I don't think he'll ever listen to this, to be honest. He's so
you never know.
Whatever. Back in like 2016, I was taking summer school and I was taking biochem. Super hard. I don't know why I took it, but I'm kind of glad I did because it was isolated in the summer by itself and I didn't have other classes to take it with. And I was really struggling. And I matched this guy off Coffee Meets Bagel. And he lived down the street from me. And I was like, oh, do you want to like help me out? And he was like tutoring me. I really don't know how we met for the first time. But he was like super dorky and we hung out. We went to watch movies together. We had dinner together. We had sex all the time. And like I slept over his place. Like I drove all the way to UCLA, slept over his place. We didn't do anything that night, but we got drunk and I was like low-key emotional. Because I was like, I really like this guy. He's going to med school soon. Like, oh shit. Like, I caught feels. And because I was like, what, like 19? I was just like, maybe I should try dating someone else. Which, like, was a bad idea.
Very, very bad. Would you consider that as one of the main red flags?
For me?
Just for anyone out there that has a friends with benefits
and they caught feels.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, like if you caught feels, you caught feels. You either pretend you didn't catch feels and just let the friends with benefits thing roll and just be hurt all the time, or you cut it off. Like there's a clear answer to this, but I'm not gonna make your decision for you.
I think it just really depends on how.
Yeah, like I let myself be hurt for a while, right?
Yeah.
So I went on a date with another guy, and he was like this really sweet dude. He took me to like Joshua Tree, like wow, like who does that? And driving home from my date, like it was like 9:30 at night. I was talking on the phone with my friends with benefits. And I was like, oh my god, like, he's talking to me on the phone. Like, when does friends with benefits ever do that? And are you judging me?
No. I'm processing this and understanding
and then,
your story.
So, I think I hung out with my friends, like, my flibs the next week. And, like, you know, clearly we did the benefits part. And I had, like, hickeys all over my neck. Bad, bad. Don't do this. Red flag. And the next day, the guy who took me on the nice date was like, hey, do you want to grab dim sum? And I'm like, fuck. Like, I wear shirts that never cover, like, my collarbone. Like, like, it's just, like, a thing. So I was like, how the frick do I hide hickeys from a different dude while going on a date with another? And so I felt so bad. This is like the moment where I was like, Jesus, Josie, you have to cut this thing off. Like, you're trying to date and, like, pretend like you didn't catch feels, but you're, like, keeping a secret from both of them. Like, it's just weird. Like,
I think that's also a red flag, is you just happen to be in between two guys.
Yeah, I mean, that was the last time I had a flips. And, like, it's just wild for me to be, like, dumb. So stupid. But I wasn't stupid. I was just, like, trying to date older guys. 19, I was, like, 22, 23, and, like, 25. Like, weird, but, like, whatever. But, yeah. But there has been, like, good friends with benefits experience where I, like, didn't catch feels, but it was, like, dope. Like, best friends.
Would you say, like, in comparison of your 19-year-old self to current 22-year-old Josie,
Mm-hmm.
has your standards of weebs changed over time?
I mean, I haven't had one since I was 19.
But has your kind of, like, perspective in finding a guy has changed?
Yeah, I mean, now, no. I don't know. Remember, like, a month ago, I almost got into one.
Right. So you're still kind of just figuring out what is your standards and.
I mean, it's a lot of, like, it's like dating again. Like, you have to make sure, like, this guy has some of the qualities you want, but not all of them, so you don't fall for them. But at the same time, it's like, is the, like, benefits part good enough to, like, continue on? And I think the thing is like, friends with benefits happen by accident.
Just accidentally.
Like, it has, like, you have to, like, go in not scanning for friends with benefits. You scan in for, like, a hookup. And if the hookup is, like, good, then you're like, you want to hook up again, and then it's like friends with benefits.
I do apologize. Like, I can't really relate to any of this. Since I've just been out of a relationship just recently.
We're breakup buddies. Me too.
But I think that in this stage for me, the approach for the future is really just focus on just yourself. Don't really care about hooking up with girls or getting into a relationship real soon, because it's not gonna really help you. And I made that mistake before, and I'm not going to make that same one again.
Same. Okay, so, like, I guess you're sick and tired of hearing my dumb stories of friends with benefits.
But it's always good to re-listen to them again, and understand it more and more in depth.
I guess. Okay, so, like, last friends with benefits question. Like, why do you think FWIBs became a thing? Is the phone ringing? So, like, why do you think friends with benefits became, like, a thing, especially in, like, our generation, or even just, like, in general?
I just think that our generation is just full of hoes.
No, I think our generation has commitment issues.
Yeah, actually, that is, whatever you just said right now is the very definition of our generation, where we have very much a lot of commitment issues, and it has really been much a big thing compared to all the previous generations that came before us.
Do you think it's because of the generation before us, like what we've seen as kids, to make us feel like to have these commitment issues?
Well, I also think that society evolve over time, because
to, like, develop trust issues in the millennials.
I think the most toxic thing, I think you would agree to this, is definitely social media. Because social media had social media itself had increased anxiety
Me.
for everyone.
Yeah, because it's like, is this person cheating on me? Or like someone be like, oh, your significant other was with this person today. And you're just like, oof. Like, I didn't know who they were hanging out with. And now I do. Like, tea. Like,
I think it's just, for me, I think I took social media very differently. And just because, like, social media is such a huge platform, it has its pros and cons, which pros, it gives you a lot of opportunities to land a job, or it gets you a popularity standard,
or
and
to
whatnot.
build a profile.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
a work profile.
But the con is pretty much everyone's judging you. Everyone's
Well,
watching on you. Everyone's
the thing is like okay, well, my viewpoint on toxicity and social media is that like people make their lives seem so great because you're only showing like this small portion of your life, and like you're not even showing the full picture. You're only showing like, hey, look, I'm out clubbing here, I'm out on vacation, but like you don't see the sad or the hardships that this person went through because you could fake a happy life through social media. I've done that several times.
I mean, yes, like we don't get to see the sad part of an individual's life, but that's why a lot of people our age have created second Instagram accounts to do rants,
Same.
to express sadness. For me, I don't do that because it's
Don't look for my second account, peeps.
But yeah, there's a lot of people out there that have second Instagram
It's called
accounts.
Finstas.
Is that what you guys call it?
It's a Finsta, fake Instagram.
Well, I never heard of it.
You've never? Okay, well, yeah. People make Finstas.
I think just for me is that I'm a very open person, and I'm an open book, so I can literally put myself vulnerable in anywhere, any place with any person.
Used to be me, not
And
me
I don't,
anymore.
and I really don't have much shame to really expose myself because, there's nothing to really hide about.
That's
for me.
why you're on my podcast, Charles.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
yeah, I think for me, what was really toxic about social media on my last relationships, or both of my relationships, it's just like, hey, I'm posting us on my social media account. I'm like flaunting our relationship, but you're like not giving me the same thing. Like your Instagram is just like yourself or like you with other girls. And it's kind of like, oof, red flag.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is what social media standards are now for a bunch of our main race in California.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, well, let's end it here because then like we're gonna talk about the ugly side of relationships in the next episode. Because we talked about Instagram, social media, and stuff like that. There is a song called Instagram by Dean, a Korean singer, and it talks about how toxic social media is. I highly recommend. And also, thank you for listening to this episode. Hopefully, you will enjoy it, or you've enjoyed it if you made it this long into the podcast. Is there anything you want to say, or how was this podcast experience, Charles?
I think that this podcast has really helped Josie just to find her passion. I think that everyone has a passion in something. It's just that not a lot of people have tried to commit and pursue it. So I think that doing this podcast with you is a great honor.
It's hard, fam.
I know it's hard, but you can get through it, and I do believe in you and doing this podcast very well.
Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Dad. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed. Please follow YBSO Podcast on our social media, aka only Instagram, in the down bar below. Thanks. Bye. You want to say bye?
See ya guys.
Okay, well, he's going to be here on the next episode. Bye.